Today, everyone, I would like to share with you a dream that I had a couple of years ago because it has a bit of a mysterious element to it, which I find interesting and perhaps you will too. So for the last 10 years, I've recorded any sort of interesting dream, anything that seems important in just a little notebook, a dream journal, I guess. And like I say, I've been recording since 2015, and there's lots of different types of dreams in here, different stories, some incredibly long. You can see this one's a full page typed out. So I do have very vivid dreams often. Sometimes I also lucid dream, which basically means you within the dream, you realize that you're dreaming and you can control aspects of it. I have to say though, it's been quite a long time since I have had a lucid dream like that. Normally when I realize that I am dreaming, I just immediately take off and fly. That's my first instinct whenever I know, oh, it's a dream, I can do whatever I want. So I have been able to lucid dream in the past, although like I say, it hasn't happened in a while. And I often have dreams that I have the usual, mishmash that we all have when we wake up and we just remember little bits. Some days I don't remember very much, but other times I have dreams that feel like they're more than just a dream. They feel like they're in some way important. Sometimes they're set in ancient times. I know I've had one that was definitely set in kind of ancient Rome or ancient Greece. I couldn't work it out. Another one during World War II. So lots of different dreams. I've also had dreams that have had elements of, well, this is going to sound strange, premonition. And I've recorded, they're the sorts of things I record in this book. But the one I want to tell you about was quite baffling, I have to say. And I've only shared this with my sister and my family. So let me go to the page. It was the 18th of September, 2022. And this is what I noted in my journal. I had lots of vivid dreams last night, but I frustratingly can only remember snapshots. In one scene, I was reading the opening paragraph of a story to Chris. Chris is my husband. It looked as though it was written in charcoal or black crayon, as it was quite smudged. The paper looked orange or dark red, and I've put a question mark. The only line I remember is the day was darkened by the dead. So that was one dream that I remembered from that night. Now, I have often thought, I think I need to write a novel that starts with the day was darkened by the dead. Haven't got into that just yet. But then here's the next one that I wrote. I also dreamt of a woman dressed in 20s or 30s fashion. She was very outgoing and charismatic. I knew she was a pilot and her name was Millicent. Now, as soon as I woke up, I knew there was something interesting about that dream, which is why I obviously noted it down and I messaged it to my sister straight away. Now, imagine my surprise when I, of course, Googled and discovered that Millicent Bryant was in fact an Australian pilot. She was not just an Australian pilot, she was the first woman to get her commercial pilot's license in Australia in 1927. When I saw the photo of her, I couldn't believe it. This was the woman that I had dreamed of. And the name Millicent is so kind of unique. I suppose it's probably more common in that time period, but it's certainly not a name that I had in my kind of consciousness. And I most certainly hadn't encountered Millicent Bryant consciously anywhere that I can actually remember. So Millicent was actually born in 1878, and as I say, she was Australian. She gained her commercial pilot license, but tragically she died in a terrible accident that occurred on Sydney Harbour in 1927. She was on a ferry called the Grey Cliff when it collided with a British mail ship, the Tahiti, and unfortunately 40 people on that ferry actually perished. So it was a horrific, absolutely horrific disaster. And she's actually buried not far from where I live. She's buried in Manly. So what did this dream mean? This is what I was obviously asking myself after I had it. Why wouldn't I dream of Millicent Bryant, a person I'd never known, had no connection to, had not been studying or reading up on women pilots or anything like that. She was clearly a charismatic woman, like I noted in the book. She was something of a polymath, I think. She was good at everything she turned her hand to. And this I discovered after, obviously, when I was doing some research on her. And I found that not only was she the first woman to get her commercial pilot's license, but she, you know, was an early motorist. Most women were not driving cars at the time that Millicent was doing quite long drives. You know, she decided she was going to play golf, and suddenly she's amazing at golf. So she was just a brilliant, brilliant woman. And, you know, her life ended really tragically on Sydney Harbour. But back to the dream, I clearly saw her. She presented as a pilot. You know, she was in her pilot's outfit, and while I thought 20s or 30s, it was obviously the 20s. And I wondered at the time, does this mean I need to research her life and perhaps write a book about her or something like that? But then I quickly discovered that this book had come out, which is called Beyond the Sky, The Passions of Millicent Bryant, Aviator. I think it came out in 2020. Yes, 2020. But I purchased it obviously after I dreamt of her. It's a very interesting book. It's kind of part narrative, or it's written in a narrative style using some letters that were discovered of Millicent's, and they were discovered not long before this book was written. So I thought, well, maybe that's not the reason why why I dreamt of her. So I actually don't know. It's a mystery to me, but I just wanted to share the story of Millicent Bryant because it is one of the oddest dreams I've ever had. Waking up, seeing this woman, and then discovering that she was in fact a real person, and not consciously being able to make any connection why my brain would be, you know, kind of dreaming about her was very, very, very strange. And I wonder if you've had any similar experiences, or whether you have any ideas of what that may have meant. Was it just to bring her to my attention because she just doesn't have the public attention that she deserves? You know, first woman pilot, we know other aviators, but Millicent Bryant is not one that a lot of people know, and I think she deserves to be a lot more known. So I would love to hear from you if you've ever had a similar experience, or whether you have any ideas of why I dreamt of Millicent Bryant, Aviator, that night. There are lots of other stories here, so perhaps I'll share some others in the future. But for now, I leave you with the mystery of the dream of Millicent Bryant, and I'm putting together another video which will come out very soon, where we're going to have a peek at Australia's oldest public building. So please do subscribe, say hello in the comments, and I look forward to talking to you all again very soon.